Whittaker Weekly is a 3-episode anime discussion podcast where two brothers discuss a show of their choice. The show can be anything from a current season flop to a decades-old classic. What are they going to talk about next? Who knows? They sure don't. I'm Andrew.
I'm Lee.
And this is Whittaker Weekly. Let's get right to it.
Okay.
Okay.
Looks like we got a couple things in the news that you wanted to talk about.
Yep, a couple of things in the news. Well, also, I didn't really mention it, but Volume 7 of Interviews with Monster Girls. Can you see that clearly?
Yes.
Okay. Volume 7 with Interviews with Monster Girls came out this week. I've already read it. It's adorable.
So, what is that girl? She's not in the anime.
No, she's just introduced in this issue. She's from Okinawa, and she's a demi who has the ability to read emotions through people's eyes and kind of see an aura around them.
So she's a type of telepath, a type of psychic.
But no, it's fun. She gets to see the main sensei and the succubus interact with each other. She sees,
is there
all
any
the
more
girls and stuff like that. It's fun. It's a very fun issue. Also,
does the invisible girl make much of an appearance anymore?
Was that a bad joke?
I'm literally asking if she is like, okay, so
I think she was a one-off joke.
We both pretty much binge watched that show right after right after, and they introduced a girl who's invisible in the ending credit scene of the last episode, which you told me is in the manga at least once that you know of, but I don't know if
I think she's only in that one scene. I haven't seen. I don't remember her coming back. But anyways, also
speaking of invisible girls, there was a scene in the My Hero Academia movie where they had to do paper, rock, scissors, and the invisible girl is actually holding signs with paper, rock, and scissors hands on it so that she can contribute in a paper, rock, scissors game. It's like the little details that they draw into those. I just love it.
But also, Volume 14 of The Devil's a Part-Timer came out.
Okay.
And I just finished reading this one last night. It is a collection of short stories. Like one of the short stories is, how Emmy first got along in Japan, because we never actually see that. First time we see Emmy in Japan is a year after Mao and Ashia arrive. So, but no, right. It's worth a read. I adore this series, Devil's a Part-Timer. I can't recommend it enough. I just wanted to go ahead and show those came out this last week. So for the news, I was extremely excited to learn. Like, we knew it was happening, but there wasn't a date for it. Sorry, I just rubbed my eyes there. But Crunchyroll is bringing the Konosuba movie to the United States. It's going to be only for one night. I got it pulled up right here. It's going to be November 12th, and they're working with Fathom Events, just like we kind of assumed they would. I'm definitely planning on going. I know Doug wants to go with me. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. So yeah, it's one night only, so make sure you see it that one night if you want to see it in theaters. They'll probably release it on DVD, or maybe even put it up on their site after a certain time has passed. I don't know. But yeah, I'm definitely going to be seeing it on the big screen. Anyways, and then for the next bit of news is, once again, Crunchyroll, they've just announced their fall lineup, and they got a lot of great shows coming up. Season 4 of My Hero Academia, Black Fox, Season 4 of Food Wars. It's Food Wars: The Fourth Plate. But there's two shows that are brand new shows that I am very, very excited for. I've been reading the manga for them, and I think they're just great stories. The first one is Ascendance of a Bookworm. Okay. And Ascendance of a Bookworm is this Japanese teenager dies by having books crushing her. Okay, she is a massive bookworm. That's all. She lived for books, and a pile of books crushed her in her own home. She is reborn as a peasant girl in this medieval world, and it's, as far as I can tell, there's no magic, there's nothing fancy about it. It's just a typical medieval world, and she desperately wants to read a book. Unfortunately, she's a peasant in a medieval world. Books are not easy to come by, nor are they cheap. A lot of nobles will buy books just to show how rich they are and never actually read them. So yeah, it's this story about this bookworm desperately trying to get a book, but she's also weak. She has a
Mm,
very frail body. She gets sick
mm.
and tired very, very easily. Um,
I'm going through this list.
uh,
And near the bottom of the list, apparently season 2 of Legend of the Galactic Heroes Die New These is coming out.
Neat. I never
Me
finished season one.
neither. But no, apparently season 2 is premiering this week
Yeah, awesome.
or
So
the 26th. Dropping the
that's
26th. So
tomorrow.
that's tomorrow. Yeah.
That's tomorrow. Yeah, a lot of the shows are wrapping up last week. But anyways, the other show that I'm very excited for is High School Prodigies. My bad. High School Prodigies have it easy in another world.
Hmm.
Imagine 7 people with the brains of Ender Wiggins
Oh,
go to a fantasy world.
and
They're
then
they're
just
good people. All of them are good people. One is a genius politician. One's a genius inventor. One is a genius doctor. One is a genius businessman. And I think one's a genius ninja. And there's 2 others. I can't remember what the other two their jobs are. Um, but they pretty much use their abilities to save the world. And it's really amazing seeing these guys do what they do
mm,
in this fantasy world. Like one of the guys, the businessman, opens up a shop
mm.
without any wares. And everyone's just like, you're crazy. You're absolutely crazy. How on earth are you going to make any money without any wares? Well, what he does is he opens up this shop and he allows merchants to sell wares at his shop for a percentage of the profits.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And they just
He
turn this
saves
world
them
on
the
its head.
he saves them the cost of having their own store
Mm.
and becomes the place where people can go.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's incredible. And I don't want to spoil any more of it. But yeah, it's I love the manga. Doug's the one who introduced me to it, and I read as much of it as has been translated, but there hasn't been a new chapter in several months,
mm,
unfortunately. But I'm very excited to see the anime.
okay.
But yeah, that's what I wanted to point out. We got the new seasons announced. I mean, you can also go to my anime list and see what's coming out
Right.
starting this week. Um,
Something you mentioned, something about you're talking about ascendance of a bookworm and somebody and the main character dying by a collapsing of books on top of them
uh-huh.
reminded me of Read or Die and the
Yeah,
paper and her character
she would
introduction.
have died if not for getting saved because a
Yeah.
bunch of books fell on her as well.
Well,
Okay.
yeah. Well, the opening of the show, the opening of the movie Read or Die features a character called the Paper who owns her own 4-story apartment, and you can barely walk through it with how many books she has. And she gets up, she leaves books in the bed she sleeps in, walks past. She There's more books in her hallway than there is room to walk, and walks out of this apartment complex, goes to a bookstore and buys 10 more, and is like the customer of the year for years running on the wall,
Well,
posing for it.
she finds an original printing of
Immortal Beloved.
Immortal Beloved. Yeah, she
That's the
finds
main
an original printing of Immortal Beloved.
story arc of that show.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Um, but no, it's cool because she has a superpower where she can actually
Mhm.
she's like a paper bender
Mhm.
for if she were in Avatar, the Last Airbender series.
Uh,
She can control the way paper moves, and she loves reading books, and she hates desecrating them to use her power.
we
She even carries around a suitcase full of
mhm.
just blank papers.
We should clarify that this is the OVA we're talking about, not the original series, or
Right,
not the actual series.
right.
So
No, we're
I
talking about an OVA, which I
mhm.
saw it as a broadcast movie. I saw it as like
Same
they
here.
combined 3 episodes of the OVA together to make a movie.
I actually have that on DVD. Let me check real fast. Keep talking. I'll be right back.
Okay. Uh, but no, yeah, it's a great little show. One of my favorite character moments of hers was she was sitting in a truck reading in the passenger seat, and somebody opens the door from the driver's seat, grabs the book she's reading, and she starts following the book, nose to the book, the entire time until she's crawling she's crawling out of the cab towards the driver's side before noticing that somebody is holding her book. They're just grabbing, this guy's grabbing the book and trying to get her attention, and it's not until she's on the other side of the car.
Oh, there it is.
You found it? All right. So, yeah, Ascendance of a Bookworm is going to be very different. I'm quite confident. I'm looking at the this concept art here for it. Yes, Read or Die.
Yeah, totally worth watching if you haven't seen this. I have not seen the series. I've heard the series is pretty good, but I know quite a few people who prefer the OVA to the series.
Well, you never forget your first. So they're always going to compare it to the one that you are most familiar with.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's go ahead and move on. So that's it for the news. And let's
Yes.
go ahead and move on to 3 episodes in. And this week it was my pick.
It was. So what'd you pick?
And I picked School Babysitters. Ryuichi and Kotaro are brothers who lost their parents in an airplane crash. They're taken in by the chairman of Morinomiya Academy, who lost her son and daughter-in-law in the same crash, on one condition. Ryuichi has to babysit the kids at the daycare room in the school. This room was opened to help the school's teachers who had kids to take care of, but it suffers from a lack of staff until Ryuichi becomes the first member of the Babysitters Club, formed to solve that problem.
Yes. All right, so the first episode starts off with the two main characters, the Ryuichi, the young man, and Kotaro, his baby brother, walking to this school. And I just the first thing that I wrote down has to do with the chairwoman's secretary and the way he delivers his lines.
He is very deadpan. He is very deadpan.
Ridiculously so. In fact, after their first meeting with the chairwoman, she he says, "I don't have a way of I don't have a way of transporting you." So he literally crouches down as if to give a piggyback ride to both the high school student and the baby brother. And he says it so seriously that he's like, "Really? No, I am joking." Look, how can anyone tell? So the secretary is I'm already quite amused by him, and just
yeah.
There's another moment where he's around that same time where Kotaro, that's right. Kotaro agrees to become the head of the babysitter club when he sees the situation, and says it with such conviction that it moves the secretary to tears, but he, in the most deadpan way, grabs a tissue and holds it over his eyes as if he is undergoing the motions that being moved to tears would be like, without any of the internal actual emotions.
Toby. He's just going in and out of my electronics and knocking stuff over without a care in the world. Anyway.
So the beginning of the show, we're introduced to the main boy, his little brother, and the old woman who is that school's chairwoman.
The chairwoman.
Who honestly, at first glance, her face reminded me of I can't pronounce it right now. Koruko? The villain puppet from Unico and the Land of Magic.
You've watched that far more recently than I have.
Just stark features. There's stark features that don't necessarily move the way you'd expect humans to move. So little puppet like. And then this afro of gray hair that's just absolutely bigger than any other character.
This huge head of just gray curls. So much hair.
That reminds me when the little boy looks at the baby brother looks at it and just says, what I don't remember how the word translates, but it's an unkind way of saying fluffy.
I don't remember it. I didn't take a note of it.
But he says it to himself, and then he says it loud enough for her to hear, and says, "Oh, is it fluffy? Is it? Well, let's see what I do to your hair. Let's see how you like it if you have the same haircut."
Keep
And then,
saying that, and I'll give you the same haircut. Yeah,
and
and
then
then
in the secretary's imagination, he sees the little
that
boy with a giant curly afro.
that's not until episode 2, but yeah.
And it's like, oh, that would
It's a
be
little boy
adorable.
with, and he's got green hair, but he's got hair just as big as the grandma's, and he thinks it's delightful.
That would
Um,
be adorable.
but anyways, so he comes to this school. They go to that school, and they meet the grandma, and the grandma says, you will live with me. I'll pay for all of your expenses and all that stuff, on one condition. She already transferred him to the school, but on
Yes.
one condition, and that condition is that you will join this babysitters club. And he's like, wait, there's a babysitters club? And she said, actually, no, there isn't. We tried doing one year or a couple of years ago, but we didn't get enough students to actually form it properly.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of parents, teachers at the school who have young children, but because either both spouses work or they're divorced and they need some extra help taking care of the kids or something like that,
Sure.
they they
They
yeah they provide
provided
a
an
day.
on-site daycare, but
Yeah,
then
if
they
you call
couldn't fund it.
it's a daycare here.
Yeah.
So they have one employee who sleeps all day long. Guy with pink hair and a small ponytail.
And an apron.
Yoshihito,
Yeah.
and an apron. Um, and yeah,
And
he goes in
we're
there,
introduced to the cast of kids.
the cast
And
of kids, and
one of them's a bit aggressive and likes to think of himself as the Red Ranger of the group.
mhm,
Um, we have a very a cute little girl
mhm,
who who seems to love cooking and is very outgoing and loves her ponytails, her pigtails. Um, we have twins. I don't remember the one of their names, but the other one is named Kazuma and wears green, and I will always remember that because of Konosuba. And he's the one that's
Takuma and
always
Kazuma.
crying. What?
Kazuma and Takuma. I've got
Yeah.
my analyst page pulled up for all the characters.
Okay.
So, except that it doesn't actually have all the characters. It's missing some of the moms, for some weird reason.
Mm.
But yeah, it's got most of the characters listed here.
Okay. And then what else do we have? Yeah, and then we have the little brother, and then a little baby by the name of Midori. The youngest is an infant that requires lots of sleep.
Hmm. And she's freaking adorable.
Um, yeah. Well, the first episode was all about getting them involved and getting
Well,
the kids.
he comes up. I wrote this. I want to go ahead and talk about this.
Uh,
He goes in there and he introduces himself, and all the kids freak out and hide behind the sleeping body of Yoshihito.
oh
You
yes,
know, and I thought that was cute that all the kids at the same time just freaked out and hid. They were running around rambunctiously having a great time playing and stuff while this guy was sleeping on the ground.
yeah.
With like with the baby by him, which actually made me think that the baby was his kid at first, but it's not. Um, but and then they all ran and hid behind him,
Hmm.
and I just thought that was cute. Them all kind of peeking their big old eyes, like the designs of the kids in this anime. So they all have massive foreheads and like cute little squished faces,
Hmm.
with like eyes. Well, obviously big eyes because it's anime, but just
Yeah.
big expressive eyes, and they were peeking their eyes over his body, looking at
Hmm.
him.
And Kazuma always looks like he's on the verge of tears.
Kazuma always looks like he's on the verge of tears. But so he then like they want to play with his little brother, and they make him. They say you're gonna be the giant monster. They say kaiju.
Uh-huh.
But you're small, so you'll be a chibi kaiju. Um, and like he's worried about his little brother because his little brother's really really shy, and so he says, "Well, how about I play with you guys? I'll be the kaiju. I
Well,
like being the monster. Rah rah! I'll
I,
be the monster."
I thought it was more than just being shy. I thought he was concerned that they'd beat him up on his first day because
Maybe.
they seemed to be pretty aggressive. They were pulling out swords and saying,
Hmm.
"We'll be the heroes and you'll be the villain. Come at you!" Ah!
I could see that, but it's also his like they had established fairly well up to this point that the baby was his little brother's extremely shy. He barely
He is.
speaks.
You're
So that's
absolutely
what
right.
that's what I got from it. But anyways, he then proceeds to be beaten up by these kids um, for the entire day, and he's
Yep.
just playing with them. And his little brother goes and grabs a book um, and
And just sits in a
Yoshihito.
corner and reads.
Mhm. Yoshihito notices and says, "Hey, don't you want to play with them?" And he says, "No." And he just kind of shakes his head. It's like, "Okay, well, would you like me to read that for you?" He shakes his head. If you want your brother to come over here, you're gonna have to say his name here. He's not like there's a lot going on. He's not just gonna notice you. And he just kind of sits down and opens up that book and starts reading. Well, the day
Something about
passes.
pandas.
Huh?
There's some book about pandas, I want to
Yeah,
say.
some book. I think it was a book about pandas, something like that. But anyways, he sits down and yeah. Anyways, he sits down, he reads, and the main character, Ryuichi, he checks on him every once in a while and notices
Hmm.
that he's by himself, worried that he's not playing with them, but he
Yeah.
keeps playing with the kids for that day. The parents then come to pick up the kids. We saw a lot
Yep.
the women who are the teachers come, and then there's the older brother who's on the baseball team, Taka, the guy, the violent little boy.
Yes.
Turns out he's violent because his brother is violent to him. Whenever he does something dumb, instead of explaining to him why that's dumb, he hits him on the head
Yeah.
and tells him that he's being dumb.
I
Um,
actually I actually looked him up. The voice actor for the violent older brother
uh,
is Goblin Slayer.
oh, okay, neat. Uh, cool.
So
Anyways,
I went looking around looking at voice actors and what else they've done,
mhm.
because Ryuichi sounded familiar, but I hadn't heard him in anything else. I
Well,
don't.
Taka, the woman who plays Taka, the little boy who's violent, she
Uh,
actually plays Boruto, who
oh,
Naruto's kid
yeah.
in the Boruto series.
Okay.
So I saw that too.
Yeah, but it's
But
just I thought that the older brother, the main character, Ryuichi, sounded familiar, but I couldn't place him.
gonna play some. Oh well, I'm not. I don't want to spend time on the show looking up his
Looking up
acting
everybody's
credits.
accent. Yeah.
But anyways, they come pick up all the kids and stuff, and he goes over to. Well, actually, we also need to say that the guy with pink hair,
Uh-huh.
um, Yoshihito, he says he has to go because they're not letting me do overtime.
Hmm.
Um, when really he's trying to get the guy to say it's I need you to stay, and he's willing to stay, but Yuchi is a very polite boy, and so he says it's okay, I'll take care of them, and he just kind of goes off.
Yeah.
So this what the next bit may not have happened if this person had been there, if
Right.
Yoshihito had been there, but he goes to his little brother, and he notices his little brother is panting and breathing heavily, and he sees that he has a fever, and he runs out because he's new to the area, he doesn't know anything. As he leaves the school, he meets Hayato, the older brother, and says, "Is please tell me where the closest clinic is. My little brother has a fever." And the little brother got a fever from stress, according to the doctor.
Right.
That
New
he
environment.
a new environment. He was by himself. His brother, his support pillar was busy, so he became sick. Got better really quick, but he goes outside, and I think it's the secretary who's out there, or was it the I'm trying to remember who he meets out there.
Out where?
Oh no, that's right, he doesn't actually meet anybody. My mistake. He says the doctor says go ahead and call your parents,
And
and
let
we'll
them
put
know
on
what's going
so
on.
they come to pick you two up. And he says, okay, I'll do that. And he goes outside and he's like, oh, I'm so glad he's better. Mom and dad are gonna be really happy to hear it. And he pulls out his cell phone, and he still has his parents' numbers in his cell phone.
Yeah.
And he realizes that his parents are never going to be able to come pick them up again. And he breaks down crying. And I just thought to myself, this was labeled as a comedy.
Yeah.
This was labeled as a comedy. Yeah, there's some funny moments in it, but I'm sure not laughing right now. At least Futurama had the courtesy to give us multiple seasons of comedy before it punched us in the gut with the episode about the dog.
Oh, Carl. Of course you had to bring that up.
Of
Um,
course.
no, but there was another comedy where they spent the first half of the first episode showing how miserable life was for this poor little girl, and then it wasn't until the first commercial break that you realize, oh, this is a comedy. But they spent the first 15 minutes of the first episode just making this the most tragic backstory you could think of.
Yep, that was a real
Kotora-san.
yeah, that was a real funny show. But anyways, they so anyways, he then ends up going to school. And the next day he's introduced as the transfer student. He well, that night, that's right. That night the grandma notices that he finally cried and finally let it out. And tucks him into bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yoko, Morinomiya. She tucks him into bed. And next day he gets up, goes to school. Well, was that all that there was for the first episode? I don't really remember much else than that. Because the next thing that I remember happening is, well, there's breakfast, and that's when Saikawa, the butler, gets the mental image of Kotaro, the little brother with the afro,
which is adorable. And we find out that Sato was a bit of an overachiever when it comes to making lunches and
Yep. Okay, so
and prepping for things.
so he needs to go to class. First day of school, he needs to go to class. And he's walking with class to the friend he made, the baseball player, Hayato. And Hayato tells him to turn around, and he sees his little brother and all the kids from the Babysitters Club.
Who he had left behind. He
Who he
had
had
visited the
left behind.
Babysitters Club to
Mhm.
leave him behind, but pink-haired guy fell asleep and didn't stop them from coming out and following him.
Mm-hmm. But anyways,
And so he's walking down the halls. Ryu is walking down the halls, and everybody's sort of giggling at him. It's like, is there something weird about me? I feel like everyone's laughing at me. And so he's so self-conscious about people laughing at him that he's not paying attention to why they're laughing.
and then he notices the kids. And
the kids are pointed out to him.
Well, yeah, the kids are pointed out to him.
Is there something strange about me? Yes, you're bringing kids into school. But and it's at that point that we're introduced to a female main character.
Inomata.
Inomoto?
I think she's actually listed as one of the main characters. Oh, I guess she's listed as supporting here, but on the wiki she's listed as main, I believe. But anyways, she and she is this cold honors student. She is very, 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 very by the book. You follow the rules and you get things done, and it's your responsibility as a student to study. So she hasn't joined any clubs, hasn't done anything like that. But she chastises him for this unsightly scene of all these kids in the hall, and all the kids start crying because she's scary. And he gets Hayato's help to take all the kids, and he apologizes, says, yes, this is my fault. I should have been better, more careful with them. He apologizes, and he gets Hayato to help him take all the kids back. And that's Inomoto, as she's walking down the hall, she overhears students saying, I thought it was cute how all those kids were following him around. Yeah, that means he's great with kids. They all love him. That was really mean of her to say what she did. It wasn't really his fault type thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And she just overhears all these things. And she starts walking with a teacher. She's helping a teacher with something. Carry some books or something like that. And the teacher says, "Oh, by the way, I need you to go ahead and go to the babysitters club room and drop
Mm-hmm.
off this lunch. One of the kids forgot their lunch at home." Um, and she, being the honor student that she is, does so.
Mm-hmm.
She goes to that room and she's about to drop it off. And I forget. Do you remember how they get her in the room?
Uh, no, she just goes in to drop it off.
Uh-huh.
And it's at that point that both oh,
Oh no, that's right. So
okay,
that's what
so what
happens.
happens
She
is
goes in to
the
drop it
pink hair
off.
teacher, his
Mhm.
phone buzzes, and we never know why, but he suddenly has a tummy ache,
Oh, we
and the
know.
baseball player has to take him to the infirmary, and
We know
that's
why. It's revealed later on in the episode that it was a setup. But yeah, so he's like, "Oh, my stomach suddenly hurt so bad. I gotta go to the nurse's room. Hayato, please help me. Take me to the nurse's room." He's like, "Oh, okay. You two stay here with the kids." And she's like, "Wait, no, I've got to get to class. No, no, no. It's okay. It's okay. Please just stay here with the kids." And she's like, "Fine." And so she stays, and the kids try to get her to play with them. And they call her a villain.
yes,
She then instantly turns on them and says, "Who's a villain?" with glowing red eyes, scaring the kids again.
yes,
Um, but they start.
and so she starts going off on how horrible a person she is because all she's good at is studying and she has no interpersonal skills whatsoever, and anytime and so all she ever does is make life miserable for everyone around her,
Well, she
and then she
then she
starts.
tries to get the kids to apologize, and she says,
Uh,
"Don't bother because
she doesn't
you're
want an
in a
forced
far
apology.
worse situation than I am," type thing. And he's like, "No, it's okay. I'm happy. Like I'm," and because she knows about like his parents being dead, and the reason he's taking care of these kids is because it gives him a chance to have somewhere to live. So she sees him in a pitiful situation, and he says, "No, actually, I'm happy. I'm okay." And that's what frustrates her and gets her to open up.
Hmm.
Um, and that's when she starts saying that she starts crying and starts saying that she is just this wretched person that everybody hates. Everybody hates her.
Hmm.
Listening to the people who are overhearing, like listening to people in the hallways talking about her and things like that. She's like, the only thing I'm good at is studying. That's it. I can't do anything else. Um, but anyways, she cries, and the kids come over to comfort her. And it's a really, really cute scene with the kids comforting her and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And then she ends up falling asleep in that room. And there's a shot
Cuddling
with
with the
her
kids.
cuddling with the kids. And they're like blankets for the size of these toddlers, and there's like three or four of them covering her. Um, she then wakes up during lunch, asks what time it is. They're like, "Oh, it's lunch," because the teacher's back. Or like the guy who actually runs the class is back. Baseball player is back, and they're sitting around the table eating. She's like, "Why didn't you wake me up?" "Oh, we really, really tried, but there was no waking you up." But we see before that happens, we see pink-haired teacher, um, baseball guy, and the nurse all sitting in the nurse's office, and along with the teacher who was helping them. Actually, no, the baseball guy's in there. He's gone to class. But the teacher who Inomata was helping
Hmm.
um, is there and explain it. And like it was very much a plot of that teacher to help Inomata see that there's more in life than studying. So yeah. And so that cute scene happened in episode 2, and I think in that same episode they went to the zoo, right? And you wrote a couple things about that.
They did go to the zoo, but yeah, I think that was in episode 2. Yes. Um, so the two main characters are named after a dragon and a tiger, respectively. And something that Taka says about who's the little brother, Kotaro, is as he's wearing a tiger T-shirt, it says, "You haven't even seen a tiger. Wearing a T-shirt like that is dumb." And so he says, "Well, how about I take you to the zoo on Sunday?" And so offering to take the kid to the zoo on Sunday in front of the other kids is like, look, he might be your brother, but you can't play favorites. You have to now. Like, it's like he's family.
Yeah.
What I do privately with family is not the same thing as what I do with you.
Well, you need to reveal the reason that Yoshimoto. I don't think I got his name right. Yoshihito, my bad. Yoshihito.
Yoshihito intends on getting paid on
Yeah.
having an outing that all the parents are coming to anyway.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and like when they tell the grandma about it, she freaks out and says, "I'm not paying an employee for going somewhere where there's already going to be parents."
The parents are already going themselves, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But the old grandma comes across as very, very stern, but really she's a very, very kind-hearted person, just with a rough exterior. Because the next day when they get ready to go to the zoo, when they're leaving for the zoo, the butler shows up again, or her secretary shows up again. He made their lunches, and it's a stack of bentos wrapped up, as half as tall as Ryuichi.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Oh, and here's your spending money." And he hands him an envelope filled with $1,000.
Yeah, full of 10,000 yen bills.
Yeah,
plural. So
yeah. So about, I guess it'd
spend
be
it
about
wisely.
$1,000 in American,
Yeah.
in the American dollar. But anyways, yeah, it's like spend it wisely and make sure you bring us a souvenir type thing. And they then go off to the zoo and they have this great. Well, and the reason they go to the zoo is because Kotaro is looking at his shirt and there's a tiger on it. And the boy who's kind of the violent one, Taka, tells him, "You're dumb. You shouldn't wear a shirt with a tiger on it unless you've seen a real tiger." And his older brother learns what Taka did, and again disciplines him by hitting him on the head.
Yeah.
It's like, what? I just told the truth.
Yep. And it's at that point that there's a bit of an altercation between the older brother and younger brother, where the older brother tells younger brother whatever the phrase is for "I don't particularly like or dislike you."
Mm-hmm.
Which the little boy then says, "I don't like you," which means "I hate you." So he figures his older brother hates him because of the way he said
there's
it.
this string of thought like, "I don't like or dislike you," doesn't like me, hates me. So that's his train of thought. And he's like, "What? I just told him that that's not what I meant." And Ryuichi's just like, he's a little boy. His thoughts aren't that complex. He can't follow along with something like that.
Yeah. Well, they're still having this altercation when they go to the zoo.
Mm-hmm.
And so Taka is allowed to go with the rest of the group without his older brother there for supervision.
Mm-hmm.
And which comes into play a little later. They go out and they see all these different things, and even though pink-haired guy's not getting paid, he's taking photographs of great things so that the fathers who didn't come can buy the photographs off of him, so he'll still get paid anyway. That's his strategy.
Yep.
So so they go and see all the animals, and they first see the elephant, and they're so amazed, and they all see the different animals that they wanted to go see. The twins wanted to see horses and zebras and things, and well, eventually they get around to seeing the tiger, and the tiger is right up next to them on the other side of some glass, of a glass enclosure, and the tiger roars at them. And all the other kids go running except for Kotaro. And so Ryuichi's kind of impressed with
parents are just like,
Kotaro.
"Wow, that's impressive."
And then Ryuichi goes to look a little closer at him, and he's just pale with fear, with the trademark, the anime style blue lines coming down the forehead.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he starts thinking, if we were out in the wild, he'd be the first one eaten.
Yep, he'd be the first one eaten.
Later on, they're at the they see sheep with gray wool. And Kotaro points at the sheep and says, "Old woman," or "Obachan," I guess is what he says, or something like that. And every grown up there thinks about the old lady who runs the school, and every last one of them in their own mind says, "It totally looks like her."
Yeah, it totally looks like her.
None of them are willing to say it out loud, but every last one of them thought it.
Yeah, every last one of them. But they, yeah, so it's a real cute episode, a real cute bit where they're at the zoo and they go home. And I think that's the end of episode 2. Episode 3 starts off with, and I'm going to go ahead and say that I'm really, really surprised because I looked up some information on the wiki, and that picture that I showed you of
Lily, yes, privately,
of Mata,
uh-huh.
with that's in chapter 17 of the manga. They fly through stuff through the manga. And like I read a couple of chapters from the manga as well, just to kind of see. And there's stuff in the manga that doesn't happen in the anime. Like it feels like that they really just kind of flying through to try to get as much as possible. It doesn't feel like they're rushing in the anime, but they definitely are if you compare it to the manga. But anyways, and we can go ahead and talk about that after we talk about the episode. But the differences, I mean. But so
the episode starts off with the pink-haired guy looking at the calendar, and then he's like, calling all the kids to him and holding his hands out and says, Did you have anything for me? Did your mother give you anything to give me?
Go ahead and give me what your mother's gave for me and Ryuichi." And they're just like, "Huh?" And like
zero of the kids
puts his hand into his hand, and it's like, "No, not your hands. No, we didn't get anything for you." And he's like, "Oh, okay." And it's Valentine's Day.
Yeah,
it's Valentine's
Day. It's the day in Japan when girls give the guys that they like chocolates. Is according to the tradition, and then the guys have 28 days. They have until White Day, which is March 14th, to reciprocate. And then so the teacher gets nothing from the mothers. It's like,
and there's a rule at this school apparently where they don't allow the giving out of chocolate on Valentine's, but if a teacher's not around, people do it anyway. A lot of people will just do it anyway. And
break the rules.
Huh?
They'll happily break the rules.
Well, and some people are talking to Ryuichi, asking if he's expecting any chocolate. And he's just like, "No, not really." And it cuts over to a girl who's watching him from across the room by the name of Yuki, and she's just like, "Oh, he's not expecting any. That's great." And it's like, and then it cuts to Hayato on the other side of the room, and a girl's trying to give him chocolates, and he just looks at it and says, "Nah, I don't need it. I don't like chocolates anyway." Which then makes the girl cry and run over to her friend.
And then a couple of guys are like, "You could have given it to us." To him. It's like, don't just turn a girl down because you don't like the chocolates.
But anyway, the girls are then talking about how he's cool, but he's a jerk. But they wish they were in a class with these other two guys who are really handsome boys, and like one's mysterious and cool, and one's just such a cool, beautiful guy. And it cuts to that classroom, and that happens to be the class that Inomata is in.
Class 3A is the class that these elite students are in.
And we forgot to mention that she's one of the elite students, that she's top ranked in the school, and like apparently the best students are in class A. So they consider it the advanced class.
Yep.
But anyways, and we established earlier that Inomata is a stickler for rules. She very, very much is like, "No, we need to follow the rules. That's what they're there for." And a lot of the girls are trying to give chocolates to this guy, and I'm trying to remember what his name is. I didn't write it down, but I think it's Tomoya. Let me go ahead and pull up his picture here real fast. Yeah, Tomoya Yagi. He's got closed eyes, blonde hair, and honestly, he looks incredibly creepy. But anyways,
there's a reason for that.
Yeah, there is. There's very much a reason for it, and we'll get to that. But anyways, Tomoya, gets to pretty much he and all the girls get chewed out by Mata, and she says, anybody who doesn't want to follow the school rules, get out of this classroom right now. You're disturbing the rest of us. And they're just like, well, for crying out loud, why are you stepping on our fun? Get over it. It's okay. And Tomoya is just like, it's okay, girls. Just give me the chocolates after school. It's fine. He hands the girls their chocolates back. He then goes over to Inomata, and says, hey, so you're part of that Babysitters Club, right? And she's like, no, because she actually hasn't joined it. And he said, but then he says, I heard they're looking for new members. Can you tell me where it is? And she said, she instantly flashes in, she gets a memory flash of a sign saying, looking for members or new applicants welcome or something like that. And she immediately stands up and says, I don't know what you're talking about. Get away, or leave me alone. And she goes, and she's stalking down the hallway, and she starts thinking about Valentine's and how stupid it is. But then she starts thinking again about her and how she always pushes people away. And really what she's feeling, and she admits this to herself, is that she wants to be part of the Babysitters Club. She loves those kids, but she's afraid of making them hate her like she does everybody else. So she doesn't want to do that. And so she knows that she can never actually join that club. And she goes to the library to study. Well, Tomoya finds the Babysitters Club, and he goes in, he wants to join, and they're super excited to have him, and he wants to play with the kids, and like he learns all the kids' names real fast. We cut
He's
back
very
to,
complimentary. He's very
complimentary. The kids
he's a little too
him.
smooth with the kids.
Yeah, he's instant, like he knows exactly how to compliment them. They all instantly like him, which in and of itself is not a bad thing. Okay, being good with kids is not a bad thing, but the way he comes across is very bad. Anyway, we cut to the library, and there's a couple of students complaining about this guy Tomoya, saying that they think it's a farce that he actually wants to join the club. He has he probably just wants to do it to impress girls. And another student says, actually, I've seen him look at kids, and trust me, you do not want him around kids. And she instantly freaks out and gets up and runs to the babysitter room. And we cut to inside the room, and he's just like, yes, is it okay if I pinch his cheek, as he's pushing his finger towards the main character's little brother, to Kotaro. And she then slams the door open and says, Tomoya, get away from those kids. And his finger is touching Kotaro's cheek. And what does he have?
Bloody nose. He has a freaking bloody nose.
Yoshihito has a bloody nose from touching a kid's cheek. And they all look at it. They all get freaked out. And then the other handsome guy, Nezu, comes in and says, nope, you can't be a part of this club. Like, it's just as bad as I thought it was going to be. What? No. What are you talking about? It's okay. I just get a bloody nose whenever I touch a child. It's fine. Yeah, no. I'm not thinking anything perverted. You're not joining this club. And the fact that it's Valentine's comes up.
Yes.
After the guy gets dragged off. And they all want cake, and he's like, "It's okay, I'll make you a cake." And Nezu's like, "No, you're not making them a cake." And the kids get all upset. And then Inomata says, "No, it's against the rules to give out chocolates today in our school. So you can't have chocolate cake." And the kids all start crying. And then she says, "But if you wait till tomorrow, I will bring you all the most delicious chocolate cake you've ever had." And all the kids get super excited and super happy. And this is one of the big differences between the manga and the show. Whereas in the manga, when she's walking away from the classroom to go to the library, she actually comes across some home ec or the cooking club members. And they're all talking about making chocolates for today, and she chews them out. And they're just like, okay, don't worry about it. Like, we won't do it. And she then leaves. And after she promises to give them a cake in the manga, she leaves, and she gets invited by the home ec students, the cooking club students, to come make a cake. And so in the anime, it's the last scene of this episode of this half of the episode, because each episode has 2 arcs in it. The beginning, like part
The
1,
A
part
and
A and B.
B. Yeah.
And she at the end of this in the anime, she's at a candy store looking at candies to give to the kids.
And she's
but
a bit flustered while she's trying to do it.
well, there's a reason she's a bit flustered too. But in the manga, she is desperately doing her best to make a cake in the home ec room. And in the next time for this one, you see that she's in kind of that outfit making food. Well, according to the wiki, like that's the start of high school for them already, and she joins the cooking club in high school. But anyways, on their way home from school, because she stayed after to help with the kids, and they're walking in the same direction for a little while, Inomata and Ryuichi. He's like, here, hold on just a second. And he goes into a convenience store, and then he comes out. And he has Kotaro hand Inomata a box of chocolates. And she's like, well, what is this? And he says, well, I couldn't give you anything at school, but this is my thanks for, all the great things you're doing with the kids. And he says,
missed this scene.
You missed this scene?
Is this an after credit scene?
No, this is before. This happened in episode 3.
Huh.
This is not an after credit scene, and she blushes like crazy after he walks away. That's that image I shared you from the manga. Okay. And then on the opposite side of the street, we see Yuki, the girl who obviously has her eye on Ryuichi, and she's got a box of chocolates in her hand, and she's like, oh no, does that mean those two are... And it cuts off at that. And then we see another gag with Nezu and Yoshihito outside a convenience store buying Valentine's chocolates. And he keeps on saying, oh, this is going to be great for the kids. This will be great for the kids. This will be great for the kids. Only, he's got a bloody nose while talking about it. And then the guy who's selling them the chocolates outside the store is freaking out.
Yeah,
so
that part I saw. That part I saw.
Yeah, that happens after the bit with Inomata.
Now, the last half of episode 3 is a pretty interesting sequence where after just dealing with the creepy high school student who may or may not be a lolicon, they're at a gym situation. They're outdoors. Like what? Why on earth are we having gym as first period? What sadist decided that? It's too cold already this morning. And why are we in shorts? Like literally everybody else is in coats. And these poor students are in shorts getting ready for gym class when the guy with the pink hair comes in with a special wagon that has all the kids in it. They went out for a walk together.
And they immediately come out and they want to play. He lets them out of this walker thing.
Yeah.
And they immediately tackle Ryuichi. And he's so happy because they're so warm.
And what's the side effect of that? Of saying that they were warm out loud.
Oh, they're so warm. And then he's like, oh, wait, sorry, you guys have to go inside. I have class. I can't play with you right now. And the male student was like, oh, no, it's fine. It's totally fine. Like, we're your classmates. So how about you share one of those... what do they say? How about you give us one of those natural heat packs? And they all lean in trying to grab one of the kids. And all the kids freak out and they start running around trying to stay away from these guys.
And in my head, I'm already hearing yakety sax as all the kids are running.
But anyways, we then see a creepo watching them from the shadows. And you're just like...
AIDS, medical mask, and hat, fedora.
And he's watching the kids, and as the children are running away, I want to say that it's Takuma, the twin who doesn't cry all the time, whereas Kazuma is the one who cries all the time.
Yep.
Takuma, in order to hide from these people,
he's crawling in the bushes right towards him.
Crawling to the bushes right towards this creepy person. They notice the creepy person. Ryuichi runs towards him. And Hayato, the baseball player, takes off his shoe and hurls it at this guy, just as the guy leans down and picks up the kid Takuma. Takuma's super excited to see who it is.
Recognizes him.
With the head. Yeah, recognizes him. Gets hit with the head. The guy gets hit in the head with a shoe, gets knocked over, and he's just like, "Oh, uh-oh, are you okay? What happened?" They go over and
it's like, nice aim.
yeah, oh wow, nice aim type thing, They're complimenting each other. They go over there. Google, go away. I did not call for you right now. They go over and they're like, Takuma, are you okay? He's like, yeah, I'm fine. Takuma, who's this person? Oh, this guy? He's my dad. Well, they go inside. They apologize for it, but they're like, but you were dressing very, very suspiciously. He's like, oh, well, I apologize, but in public I have to dress like this because I'm a famous actor.
Yeah.
And it turns out their dad is an actor.
Yeah. Famous actor who doesn't spend a lot of time at home because he's got a fledgling career that he has to focus on. So the kids don't spend a lot of time with him, and so they don't know really how to interact with him. And so he gets to spend the day with them. The father gets to spend the day with all the kids, trying to
his name is Kosuke, by the way.
And there's a huge montage of the father. Kyosuke, did you say?
Kyosuke.
There's a montage of Kyosuke playing all these different games, and every time they try to play a game, Kazuma cries.
Yeah, he's able to play with Takuma just fine, but Kazuma is always freaking out. And finally, he's just like, I'm just a no-good father. He wants nothing to do with me. I'm just going to go ahead and leave. Finally, he can't take it any longer. Like, they do a couple pep talks to try to make him happy and try to convince him to play with them. And he gets up and he can't do it anymore. So he gets up and he leaves in disguise. Well, mostly in disguise. He forgets to put his mask back on. And as he's leaving,
he bumps into a girl.
School runs into him. I thought it was Yuki for a moment, but I don't think it was Yuki.
It's just some random.
It's just
some rando school student who bumps into him and then immediately hearts in her eyes, cries out his name,
shouts out his name. Every window at the school opens up. Girls see him. It's like a scene from I think it's A Hard Day's Night. Where the girls just flood and chase after the Beatles. It's exactly like that, just in anime form.
Yep. And so he's swarmed by these girls. He's a head taller than all of them. And while he's trying to get away and trying to be polite and says, "Okay, autograph, here you go. Yeah, that's nice. That's nice. Yes." It's at that point when both of his twins are at the far end of the crowd, being held up by pink-haired guy and main boy, and the twins are crying, "Daddy, come play with us," or "Papa, come play with us," and says, "They called me Papa," and now he's fighting through the crowd to get to them as best he can.
But the crowd's not letting him go. They keep trying to hold on to him. They knock off his hat,
and that's when. Now, as a reminder to our audience, the reason these children are in this daycare is one of the parents works at the school as a teacher. Well, it turns out that this particular beautiful actor is married to an attractive gym teacher who blew a whistle.
Umi is her name.
Yes. So Umi blows a whistle, and in this sweetest, cheeriest voice, she says, and holding a picture of the headmistress, says, "The headmistress says if you don't get back to class, every single one of you will be held back a year." And they all disappear very suddenly. Because even though she's sweet and everybody loves her, by invoking the name of the headmistress, she can get them to do whatever she wants.
Well, she's sweet, but you can also tell that she's a very strong personality. She's got a very strong personality. She just has this sweet covering over it.
Yes.
And I just want to say that on the wiki, her page for the wiki for the manga image is that image of her smiling, holding the picture of the headmistress.
Yes.
So yeah, if you don't go back to class right now, you'll all be held back a year, and all the girls immediately go run back to class. And it's a pretty sweet scene where he goes over to his sons, and he learns that his sons want him to stay. They don't want to lose their daddy for the day. And Umi says, "Well, you're so busy with acting, and I just wanted you to be involved in the boys' lives. And like, it's kind of my fault that Cosmo's so afraid of you." And she's like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" "Well, I have the boys watch your movies." And then it cuts to a scene from home, and she's watching a Yakuza movie where he's holding a woman hostage with a gun to her head. And he's just like, that's not a movie for children. You shouldn't show our kids that movie.
Yeah, but
and
you're
she's
so
like,
cool
yeah,
in
but
it.
you were just
Really?
so cool in it, which again makes him flustered and stuff. So it's an adorable family, an adorable couple.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, that's anyways, yeah,
That's episode 3.
that's episode 3. That's the first 3 episodes of this show. The more I talk about it, the more I like it. I don't know if I'm
Yeah.
going to watch the anime, but I'll probably read the manga. I think
The
reading the manga is something I would enjoy doing.
it definitely has the feel of is it right to say it's a shoujo anime? I mean, it has a feel of, girls watching guys talk about their feelings.
Yeah, it's very much it's on
Because
my
we
anime
we
list.
have a
It's
lot of
listed as
those moments where you have a lot of those bubble scene
uh-huh.
moments
Yeah, well,
of emotionality.
it's so it's listed as comedy, school, shoujo, and slice of life.
Oh, there it is.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it's very much shoujo, and yeah, it is. It's very much shoujo, but it's fun. I mean, it's the anime itself really wasn't my cup of tea. I enjoyed it, but usually, like the last couple of shows we watched, we try to find at least 5 things we liked about the show to talk about as we
Yeah,
talk about each
we didn't have
episode.
a hard time finding things we liked about this show.
We didn't have. I don't think we had a hard time finding it. It's just that in the last several episodes, I would find 10, 12, 13, just so many things I loved about it. Whereas this one, it's not really my cup of tea. I think I'll enjoy the manga, kind of reading it at my own pace. But anyways,
yeah, we're
with the new season of anime starting up this week.
In terms of shoujo comedies, we kind of lean more towards things like Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun or On High School Host Club.
Yeah.
But this kind of show is really a bit. There's not as much to it,
and
we're kind of like the denser material, or maybe more relatable. Anyway, so that was great.
Yeah. So that's those episodes.
So I don't have anything against it, but I might not watch more of it either.
Yeah, I mean, it was fine. It's just like we said, new season of anime is coming up.
But if you're somebody who likes things like How to Keep a Mummy or My Neighbor is my roommate is a cat.
Here's the thing: I did enjoy those, and I watched those.
Oh, did you?
I did.
Yeah, I didn't finish either of those. So
weird. Okay. Anyways, so that's it for this week. Next week we're wrapping up our schools with a twist. This wasn't really that much of a twist, but I thought it was a good enough one. But next week, because next week is also leading into October, we wanted to go ahead and pick a show that has a bit of school and a bit of Halloween. So what did we pick for next week? It was your pick. So
next week it was my pick, and I want to watch the first 3 episodes of Little Witch Academia. I've seen a lot of memes of this going around, and I want to give it a shot.
I love the movie. The movie was great. Watched it. I have not seen the show. I'm looking forward to seeing what the show's like.
I have not seen the movie, but I'll be watching the show without having seen the movie before we start this next week.
It's been years since I've seen the movie, though. So,
well, the following synopsis from Netflix reads: Aiko enrolls in the Luna Nova Witchcraft Academy. She is not the best student, but her bright attitude is the key to her and her friends' success. So, not a whole lot there because Netflix tends to have pretty short synopses. But yeah, we're looking forward to that. Seen a lot of memes of it, and looking forward to getting to know these characters that I've seen around on the internet before.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's it for 3 episodes in. It's now time for recommendation of the week, and it's my pick. And I picked Borderlands 3. Surprise, surprise. I've been playing the crap out of that game. I honestly thought that I was going to go ahead and finish it. I thought I was going to finish it yesterday, and I did. They were leading up this quest, being like, "This is the final charge. We're going to do this. We're going to go here. We're going to go ahead and save the world. It's going to be great." And I do that mission, and there's a whole other planet to do after that. So yeah, I did not finish it. I still have lots to do, and that's not even doing the end game content or the new game plus stuff. But yeah, I have been devouring this game. It's loads of fun. They made a lot of tweaks to the guns. There's a brand of gun called Torque that shoots explosive bullets, and usually they were pretty slow moving in the other Borderlands games. In this one, they move pretty quickly, and you can switch between, well, not all of them, but some of the guns you can switch between impact or sticky. So impact, it goes off as soon as it hits somebody, or sticky, it goes off when you reload. So some big guy's charging you, you unload an entire clip of Torque ammo on him, reload, and all of a sudden, brrr, all these explosions go off.
That
Lots
sounds
of fun.
amazing.
Lots of fun. So yeah, Borderlands 3 is incredible. I highly recommend it. I'm not the one who's saying it's incredible. But anyways, that's it for recommendation of the week. It's now time for creator shout out, and that's your pick this week.
It is my pick, and this week I'm going to shout out to somebody who I've been listening to for a very long time. He has a channel on YouTube called Ideas of Ice and Fire. He has a very nice speaking voice, very easy to listen to, as he talk and often. Now, what got me into his channel though was that he has these deconstructions about the various characters or cultures or ideas, philosophies, technologies of the Dune saga by Frank
Oh,
Herbert.
okay.
He started off doing stuff for A Song of Ice and Fire, the Game of Thrones book series, but he's also branched out and done a lot of stuff for Dune. And so, even though his main title is based on the work he's done deconstructing George R. R. Martin's Game of Thrones series, I'm really a fan of his work with Dune. He's got a Facebook page, Twitter account, Patreon accounts we'll be linking to as well. But seriously, check out his YouTube channel, subscribe, give him a chance. It's very interesting to listen to.
Cool. All right. Well, that's it for another episode this week. Thank you so much for listening in. If you listened it on YouTube, please feel free to like this episode and subscribe to our channel. If you like what we do and want to support us, please share our channel with your friends. Where can they find us on social media?
Our site, whittakerweekly.com, currently has the links to our Facebook page, Twitter account, and YouTube channel. We encourage all our listeners to follow us on the social media platform of their preference. And if there's one we're not on yet, please reach out to us on one of the ones we've mentioned, and we'll broaden our scope to include you.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for listening in, you guys. I want to go ahead and give a shout out to Ben Coombs for doing the artwork for our avatars and for our channel.
And another shout out to Brasmataz for their song Dreikolk, which we use for our opening and closing song.
Okay, well, I've been Andrew.
I've been Lee.
And this has been Whittaker Weekly. You guys have a great week.